The morning sun filtered softly through the old linen curtains, casting long golden lines across the worn wooden floor. Eleanor hadn't moved from her chair since dawn. She sat there in her silk robe, one hand gently clutching a half-full cup of now-cold tea, the other resting in her lap, fingers twitching unconsciously like they were painting something invisible in the air. She was 71. Her bones reminded her of that each morning. Her hands no longer moved with the certainty they once had. But that wasn't what had kept her frozen in the quiet of her lakeside cottage. It was the memory, the feeling, the echo of something she hadn't allowed herself to feel in decades. Eleanor had lived here for 29 years. She and Harold had bought the cottage when they were both in their early 40s, flush with the hope of retirement and endless summers by the water. They had spent their evenings drinking wine on the deck, laughing about things they'd forgotten by morning. And then he died. Slow, unkind death. And after that, life shrank. Conversations with neighbors dried up. Her children moved farther away. Her body softened and her voice grew quieter. The house, once filled with the scent of garlic and lemon and wood smoke, now smelled mostly like dust and old paper. But the silence, it had a shape. And yesterday that shape changed. It began with a letter. The envelope had no return address, just her name in pen she hadn't seen in 50 years. She almost didn't open it. But something in the slant of the handwriting pulled her in. Some whisper from another life. It was from Margaret. Margaret, the girl she'd lived with in a rented studio apartment above a tailor's shop in 1971. Margaret, the one who used to sing opera while they made eggs. Margaret, who once confessed that she never wanted to marry. Margaret, who vanished one rainy morning and never wrote again. Till now. The letter was short. Just a few sentences. Eleanor, I don't know if this will reach you. I don't know if you're still in Vermont, still by the lake, still painting. But I drove past the shore a week ago and thought I saw you, standing near the water with your arms crossed like always. If it was you, I hope you're well. I'm living now. That's all I wanted to say. After all this time, I'm living. It was unsigned. Eleanor stared at it until the afternoon shadows crept across the walls like ivy. She didn't cry. She didn't smile. She simply remembered. Remembered what it felt like to be fully seen. She stood carefully, her knees groaning in quiet protest, and made her way to the studio. It hadn't been used in years. She had once painted every day, back when color still felt urgent. Now the easel was dusty, the brushes stiff. But she didn't hesitate. She pulled the covers off the old things. And then she disrobed. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't cinematic. There was no music, no wind. Just the steady rhythm of her own breath. The robe slid off her shoulders and fell to the floor. And Eleanor, for the first time in nearly 3 decades, stood naked in her own space, the light from the tall windows washing over the pale blue veins in her arms, the curve of her stomach, the silver strands of hair that refused to be tamed. And she painted. Not herself, not Margaret, not Harold. She painted the silence. She painted the part of her that had been frozen. She painted the moment where memory and presence collided, where grief and beauty held hands. She painted until the muscles in her back ached and her fingers were stained with oils. That night, she slept with the windows open. And the next morning she painted again, this time in a loose cotton dress, barefoot, laughing as she dropped a palette of ochre on the rug and didn't care. There was no follow-up letter. No visitor. Margaret didn't return. But something had shifted permanently. Eleanor went to the market the next week. She spoke to a stranger on the bench. She mailed her daughter a photo of the new painting and signed the back with, "I think I'm waking up." Weeks passed. The lake grew warmer. One afternoon, she stood in front of the mirror and said out loud, "I'm not done yet." And for the first time in years, she believed it.